All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of a Google Plus Hangout by Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias, and today we're looking at the constitutional review by the National Assembly, actually. And joining us to look at that, first we have Dr. Victor Barmishaye, who joins us from Lviv in Ukraine. Good day, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. We also have Ben Cosmos joins us from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Ben, thanks for coming on board as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, Victor, let's begin with the constitution review by the National Assembly. I mean, what do you make of it?
Well, thank you so much for that question. The constitutional review that we just had, I think, is just one step. Well, is it the right step? Okay, so the constitutional review we just had in Nigeria, the question must be, is it the right step? Or is it just something that was given to us like a just take? You know, in Yoruba, they call it Ajegbama Pamije. Well, any way it may be, it's definitely one way better than what we have had. In my opinion, I think Nigeria should have an entirely new constitution. We should sit down and engage people and find out what is it exactly that we want to guide us. And based on these principles, I think the constitutional review in itself has been faulty, because I have never seen in one place, I've never heard that they engage the citizenry in coming about this constitution. I have never seen them engage people. Another point again is, I don't know, but the Nigerian media, I think, has to take some strokes for this. In Senate clients, when matters like this come up, we don't just hear about the voting. It's not the voting. We hear about the process. We hear about the argument. It is the media that has the duty to show us different sides to what the arguments are, and why Nigerians should, what should be the talking point. But no, when Nigerians started hearing of this, especially apart from the not too young to run bill, was when they started voting on these things. How many people were engaged to ask Nigerians, I mean, do we want immunity for senators? How many of these bills were Nigerians engaged in? None. Civil societies, organizations, what were their roles in this? Absolutely none. If there's any other thing, it must be smoke screen. So in its entirety, I think it's faulty, but well, this is what we get. This is Nigeria. So I know I have been an activist for quite a while, and I know that sometimes you don't get the full victory. You just get one, you celebrate it, and you go back to your corner and plan again to fight. Well, thank you for this one victory, but we deserve more. We deserve more. This is just crumbles. We deserve the bread. But well, thank you for the crumbles. At least you say you give us something. But I think we can do better as a nation.
All right, very well. Let's get to hear from on you, Ben. What do you make of the process? I mean, Victor just gave out some strokes, including to the Nigerian media. But then, what do you make of the constitution review, first of all?
Yeah, I think it's still an ongoing process, and the constitution, we can amend it at any time. But I think at this point in time, if you look at what is happening around the country, we need a brand new constitution, a constitution that will speak for me, that will speak for you, a constitution that will have the interest of everybody, the interest of the elite, And so we need a brand new constitution. And if you look at it, the way these constitutions are, they are very, very rigid and cumbersome to amend. So why don't we take our time to do this once and for all? And subsequently, we can begin to take them clause by clause and make a review of them, because at least for every 10 years, for every decade, you find out that some of the laws we have may be outdated. We need to update our laws and as issues begin to unfold. Like if you look at this kidnapping issue that is going on, we don't really have apart from states now that are passing some bills into law in kidnapping, we don't even have any bill that can take care of any punishment that can take care of kidnapping. And apart from what states are doing right now, so we need to look at the constitution totally, a brand constitution totally, and something that will be acceptable to everybody, and also look at the way the country is structured, not just both in terms of revenue sharing. The constitution should carry out everything, so that at the end of the day, we might not get everything we want, but we can still look at the constitution as something that I still have a stake. It's something that I still have my own interest in. Even if I don't get everything in it, but I will still have something that I can go home with smiling.
Oh, very well. I'm sure everyone wants to go home smiling. But Victor, let me come back to you. Also, one of the issues that brought about some form of debates, after this was the issue of devolution of powers, to the states. Do you think it was a backward move, or do you think the states need the independence to run, as would have been if that devolution had passed?
Well, I think a lot of people would bring different arguments to this, but I think the main thing Nigerians need is not just even the devolution of power. The problem of Nigeria has always been a problem of value systems. And until we solve that problem of value systems, the institutions we build will never survive, because it is people who drive institutions. So for me, devolution of power would have just been a symptom. You take that away, the disease is still there. So I wouldn't be arguing much about devolution of power until things like that national conference where people can come together and talk. What do we really need? Why do we need this? And even if we need this, how do we sustain this? Because when we build this, for example, if you devolve power, you see how, for example, one of the arguments is how state governors are abusing their powers now. What would they do then? If you devolve power, for example, how effective would state assemblies be? If we do that, there are a lot of arguments to this, but they all come from the fact that the masses, the people, are not yet politically educated, and they are the ones who run these things. And I think that education, that political education, is just one bit of what the value systems of the people bring. Because the value system, it's from the value system of the people that you get leaders. It's from the value system of people that we can support the institutions. So for me, for every time we talk about things like this, I still always want to go back to the root of the matter, which is how do we get a better value system for ourselves as a people. And after that time, then we can begin to talk about devolution of power. But is devolution of power in itself good? Yes, it is. It is. Everybody should, every state should be responsible for themselves, and they should be empowered to do such. But again, the question is always what next after. That's always where the question lies.
Well, your that last statement will bring me to my next question. What next after? The one of the bills that also was really celebrated was the Not Too Young to Run bill. It got massive votes both in the House of Representatives and also in the Senate. But then I think that's halfway. 24 houses of assembly need to also pass that for it to become a bill, and then those age reductions for political office, can take effect. But then, how do you see that? Because people still believe that it's not yet uhuru for Nigerian youths. The bill, it doesn't end at the bill. It doesn't end at passing the bill. Do you think there are challenges still waiting ahead?
Well, I think the challenge itself starts from the bill, because the bill in itself is just crumbles. I mean, they just toss it at us, just take. How can you tell me that people who are 18 years old, 19 years old can die as soldiers fighting in Borno State, but they cannot vote? They cannot contest for elections. How can I qualify to vote and not qualify to be voted for? Where does that hold? It holds in a system where people do not even know who they are and demand for what belongs to them. So now they've given us Not Too Young to Run by reducing age by 25. It just crumbles, but well, again, thank you. At least you gave us something, Abby. Now, but the question again will come from when Not Too Young to Run finally is made manifest. The question would be, are youths ideologically ready? Are we prepared? Because the question has never been about age. The question has always been about national value systems. We see, and again, another question one would have to ask again, is it because of dispensation that it makes youth appear as though they have not been ready? Probably it's because they've never had this opportunity, so they only have to, trail people, people they see as leaders, and follow them just to as they mature. But now maybe it will bring in maybe this bill will at least reduce the dispensation a little by 5 years, and probably people will be able to start taking proactive steps because they know they are not getting any younger and they have that opportunity. But maybe that would happen. But the question again would always be, after the euphoria of not too young to run and it has been passed, the question will be, what next? What next? What is the next thing to do? So if not too young to run will pass, or it will not pass, when it eventually passes, what would we do? Don't forget, countries that have young leaders, for example, France that has Macron, Luxembourg has a young leader, Canada has a young leader, and even when Obama was voted for, they were not voted for because of their age. They were voted for because of the ideology they sold. They were voted for because of the principles, the things that they said they are going to achieve. The question is, what do we have? What can we present as young people that we are? Are we striving? Are we fighting? Are we improving ourselves? Because at the end of the day, that is what would count. When we get to that battlefield, we will not be selling age. Nobody will be buying age. People will be buying what is it that you can present. Again, we must ask, when you pass not too young to run as a bill, are you not leaving it as an orphan? When we've not regulated our electoral process, when a youth has to buy a form for, let's say, 10 million naira, and he may not necessarily have the money, won't he be muzzled out? What are the other supportive bills that we are canvassing for that will give the youths the level playing ground to present themselves? We need to talk about this also.
All right, Ben, what do you make of that?
Okay. Before I go further, I would like to say something, add something to what you said about the devolution of powers. And a lot of people argue that states will be more powerful and that state governors will abuse the office. I don't think that we should continue to look at the disadvantage alone and not look at the advantage of the same of this particular clause in the Constitution there. But I think just like looking at you're looking at the means of transportation, air transport and rail transport. Air transport is the fastest, but it's very expensive. Rail transport might be the cheapest, but it's very slow. But that doesn't mean that both of them are not important, and that doesn't mean that you can't use the train or you can't use the air to fly. But what I'm trying to pick up here is that when you look at it now, even at this stage, we have governors who abuse their offices. And it doesn't stop them from abusing offices. But there's a portion there that is there to take care of any governor. After abusing your office, when you leave office, you will face the law. And at the end of the day, if you're found guilty, you go in for it. It's just like you see what leaders, after serving their nations, they are being arraigned in international war crime against humanity and all that. So I think we shouldn't really look at what the governors should do when they get these powers. But let's look at the developmental aspect of it. How each state will grow, the competition that will come in every state, how states will be able to manage their resources and create more jobs without looking at the center, how states can function very well effectively without coming to the center looking for monthly allocation and what have you, Paris Club reform and all that. If the federal government does not give anything to you guys, you can't pay salary. You can't run your own affairs, you can't create power, you can't generate your own electricity, you can't, it's too much. It's too much. So we need to remove power from the center and give it to the states, because the states, that is where people are. That is where the people are. The states and the local government. So power needs to go down to the grassroots, and so you don't really need to fight too much to come to the center. Your state governor is there. Your local government chairman is there. The councillor is there. It's very easy. So we need to look at the advantage of it without almost looking at the disadvantage of what politicians will do with it. Yes, people will abuse power, but there is a section there that will take care of these issues. So let's look at the advantage the benefits, and stop looking at how people will abuse power in terms of maybe rigging the election, using police to harass oppositions and all that. Even now, they still do that. You can't stop them from doing it now. Okay, we've gone past that stage. All we need to do is just to start. We need to start from somewhere. If we keep postponing this thing, we are postponing the evil days. You look at how Nigeria is going day by day, day by day. People are no longer happy. People are not happy with the center. Even when you're supposed to talk to your governor on some certain issues, you leave your governor, you'll be attacking the center. So it's not really helping issues. We should deviate from looking at the disadvantage part of it, how people will abuse power, how people. No, we should leave that and look at the benefits. The benefit is far more better than the negative side of it. If you continue to look at the issues the way they are, and again, the not too young to run bill is a step in the right direction. Even though I was expecting them to reduce the age to 18, like the constitution is, you can still amend it, but it's a step in the right direction. Just like this speaker has said, he said they are just giving up on one of the crumbs instead of giving us the bread. But we can still take this one. Thank God they even, I said, they've supported the bill, and the bill has gone and is going for. I hope very soon. I believe that the state House of Assembly will also pass this bill, because we need 2/3 of all the whole states before it can become a law. And so we are very happy. It's a welcome development. And now, if I know that the politician who is there to give me money to fight or commit electoral violence, and the same age I can contest. So instead of taking the money, I will have the courage to contest with him instead of collecting that money with him. The fear on this is that very soon we will chase all these young people, all these old men away, because by the time you look at the person that is standing at an election, you're seeing a 75-year-old man and you're seeing a 30-year-old boy coming to stand for election. Even without him saying too much, you will go for him, because you feel that this man is an old man, he's outdated. What does he have to bring on the table? I mean, things are changing. Technology, everything is changing. These old men cannot continue to lead us, because if you look at from 1999 to date, it's been the same old face, the same old people. You look at the PDP, the APC is still the same old people. So this not too young to run bill is another bill that will help us take care of these people. Very soon, within the next decade, within the next 5-10 years, some of these old folks will no longer see them there anymore. So we have the young people, and when you have a young man in there, you're talking to him because you will not be looking at him on that particular aspect, or you don't have respect for your elders. You can talk to him the way you want to talk to him. You're looking at him, the age gap between you and him is not too much. But when you look at an elderly person, you want to talk to him, you're like, oh, you're disrespectful, you're this and that, you don't have respect for your elders. You know, they begin to see you as, oh, these guys are wayward. But it doesn't come in there, because I can tell anything I want to tell you. You're of my age mate, the same age bracket. So nobody's afraid of anybody. And if you commit any crime, we will come and pick you up immediately. So it's just there. The energy is there to run things and make Nigeria move forward. It's a step in the right direction, no matter how we're expecting to see it 18, because as long as you are old enough to vote, and you should be old enough to run. And if you're not old enough to vote, then you cannot run for office. So it's vice versa. It's a step in the right direction. The best thing that they have given to us in this 2017 is a very good thing they have given to us. And for those people who initiated this bill, I really have to commend them. They have done a very good job to initiate this bill, and we should all do anything possible to support it. And also let us support young people. If we see a young person coming to run for office, we should support him. It doesn't matter which political party he's coming from, but as long as he's a young fellow, he's a young guy, he's a young lady coming to run for office, let's just support him. That is one way also we can chase these old folks out from government, and have the young people, and we'll have young people there to represent us in government, both in parliament, in executive section, whatever, in any capacity at all. We can have young people coming there to run the affairs for this nation. Not just coming, but coming on with good ideas. Today, the world is moving fast. We are in a technology age now, so we need people, not people who cannot even make use of an Android phone or all that, a smartphone. So we need young people now on board. Things are changing, so we need to push these old folks away and have young people come into this space, and let's build a very good nation. That will be very good for all of us to live in.
All right. Okay. Victor seems to have some disagreements with some of the things we said. I will let him just quickly respond before we continue, Victor.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ben, and thank you so much, Mr. Victor, for that. I just have a little reservation. because the whole essence of Not Too Young to Run, as it's not about governance, it's about giving them the platform. So when that platform comes, we can no longer be talking about age. It will be a disservice to the country to keep talking about age when we get the platform. When after the platform has been achieved, the next thing we need to start talking about is an idea. I, for one, will not vote for a young man because he's a young man. The same way I will not vote for a woman because she's a woman. Neither will I vote for a guy because he's a guy. I will be voting for ideas. I will be rooting for ideas. And that's what we need to start concentrating on. I think we need to wake up from the euphoria of Not Too Young to Run. Thank God we got it. But now we need to wake up and start talking about policies. Start talking about ideas. One of the failures of the last generation is that we ran a politics, or we ran a politics that had no ideology. There was no ideology whatsoever. The APC is probably not different from the PDP in terms of ideology. Our party, all those ones, they call them get together. They almost have no ideology that they are presenting. So if we keep talking about trivial and mundane things like age, even after we've got the platform, then we will be failing again. So it was necessary to talk about a platform about age because it was one thing they used in disenfranchising us. But now that we have a platform, it is necessary that we now start talking about policy, start talking about ideas, start talking about things we can do to push our nations forward. Let's start bringing arguments up. Let's start talking about the things that are actually necessary about our national daily lives. Let's start talking about national value systems. Let's start talking about how we can think about in Nigeria, how youth can stop jungle justice. If youths are not in power, the youth that are not in power now cannot start thinking about how we can stop jungle justice. I don't trust that kind of youth in power. If the youth that is in power now cannot start providing alternative solutions, even though it's not in power, I don't trust that kind of youth in power. In fact, one of the gains of the polity in senior clients, and I mean, when you go to the UK and US, you have things you call shadow cabinet. These people begin to understudy, getting ready to get power. They begin to start talking about things until people are engaging in the right topics, the right discussion, enough of publicity, enough of what people, whatever. This is what decides our life quality. And if we don't start talking about everything. I will give you a biblical illustration of the guy named Yoba. The young guy who succeeded his father's son. Yoba failed him. You understand me? Youth can fail. So we need youth with experience. We need youth with the right orientation. We need youth who can present the right values. We need youth who can present solutions. Adam had 3 children. One was Cain, one was Abel, and the other was Seth. Cain was the problem. Abel was the victim. Thank God for Seth is the solution. We cannot keep living in the reality of Cain. Neither can we keep living in the reality of Abel. We cannot keep being the problem, not the victims. We need youths who can stand as the Seth to this generation. Thanks to Seth, humanity continued. Thanks to the Seth who will be in our generation, Nigeria will thrive once again.
All right, very well. But, I mean, based on all that you have said now, do you think the youth will rally around themselves to produce a credible candidate?
The first thing the youth needs to rally around themselves is not in producing candidacy. It's in challenging the status quo of the value system that Nigeria has currently. If that does not change, Nigeria cannot get better. If we don't change our value system and place it back on valuing human lives, we will never build institutions that will protect that. Neither will we have leaders that can protect that. See, the best of leaders always come from the best of people. No society can produce a leader that is better than the average value system of that society. So the first thing youth needs to do now, even I am thinking 2019 is too early. We need now to start talking about national values. How do we inculcate new national values? Until we do that, even I cannot vouch for good governance of any youth. Because now it will not be about age again. It will be about what can you offer in terms of value.
All right, very well. Ben, one of the issues that have been touted is the issue of funding, for the youths, and also the imposition of candidates, or the imposition of, or the, okay, let me just put it this way. The fact that the older generation can still, yeah, just hold on. That the older generation can still put their stooges or their sons or their relatives, to contest for these positions. Do you think this will be a problem?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I to some extent I agree with him, but we have to look at where we are coming from. From before 1999, it has been the military, and all that was on our mind was how do we push this military back, and so that civilian will take power. Now civilians have come. Now they handed over to civilians to rule, and it became a democratic elected government. And from 1999, we've had successful elections that are very successful. As much as we had so many problems, court cases and all that, and the judiciary has helped a lot in solving some of the problems, and we are growing. Okay, the issue of if you need someone with idea on who is coming up with an idea and who is not coming up with an idea, if you put it on that basis, we might not even have this not too young to run bill. But what I'm trying to tell you is this: we are growing. It's a starting point for us, and as long as this is the starting point for us, we will get there for sure. But we just have to take a step. This is this is a step in the right direction. And and whether of course we have issues like politicians putting their spouse, their sons and all. Yes, we'll have issues like this will come up, but with time, these things will be taken care of. Gradually, they will be taken care of one by one. But the whole essence of this bit is to make sure that we can have more young people come on board, come into government, because we have old folks taking over the whole place. The same old people, the same old face, the same the Minister of Agriculture, and you can see them. They are all there. The same old folks. There's nothing new. These are the same people you've seen. If they are not governors today, they are ministers tomorrow. If they are not ministers tomorrow, they are senators. And you see, because of the age limit, now the bracket has been open for more people, for you to come in. That is the most important thing of this. And now, be it if the person is competent or not competent enough, the electorate will decide. We have to look at both issues. You have to present yourself for election, and we, the electorate, will look at your antecedent. Are you qualified for the job? Then we'll decide to give you a mandate. So with time, some of these issues that you've raised here will be taken care of. You can't just chew everything at once. No, if you want to chew everything at once, it will choke you. Okay, so we just take it one by one. We do it and we dust it. Take it to the next level, and I believe at this point we'll be making progress. Maybe we might not be moving that fast, but at least one step at a time. At least we are moving, and this is giving us hope. For someone like me, it's giving us hope. I mean, reducing the age. Hopefully, I would like to contest for the president of Nigeria. I want to. Even I don't care, but at least it will give me that morale. Even if I don't win, but I would like to give a shot to it. So that is the whole essence of these things, and it's a step in the right direction. We shouldn't try to discourage it, bringing up one advantage or the other. No, we should be positive about anything we are trying to do. That is the whole essence of this bill. Whether people, of course, politics is money in Nigeria. We need people, financiers. We need people who finance your campaign and all that. But with time, these issues will be taken care of. All I just want to tell you is, give it 5 years from now, a lot of things will happen in this country. 5 years from this bill now, look at it, things will change. Just like things have changed from we have seen a lot of things in the electoral. A lot of things has changed. So 5 years from now, we are moving.
Okay, very well. Yinka Ogunubi joined us from Lagos, Nigeria. Thanks for coming on the program.
Yeah, thanks, Victor.
All right. Very well. I know you can't see me, but I'm very much around. If you can, do us a favor and put your phone on landscape.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, okay. All right. So just before you got on, quite a bit of water has gone under the bridge. But let's quickly get your thoughts on the Constitution review. Of course, that was carried out by the National Assembly, and more specifically, not too young to run bill.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've been a little bit public with my views. I've felt that to a large extent, the passage of the bill has been is a good development. I mean, there's nothing wrong in reducing the age of the minimum age by 5 years. But I felt largely that it has been like a distraction, and I have good reasons for that. I mean, first, let me say that I believe that if you can take a bullet for this country, then you should be elected to serve. So I don't even believe that the age of admission should be 25. I think it should be 18. If you can go to war and die for the country, then the country should at least allow you to also serve. But I think that the issues are more symbolic, are more fundamental than a symbolic gesture of just removing 5 years from the age. And I say this with good reason. I mean, if for instance, we cannot produce a president for this country at the age of 40, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't know for others, but 40 is still a relatively young age for me. If you can produce after close to 18 years, over 18 years, yes, of democracy, in which that constitution put that minimum requirement was in place, if you can't produce a president at 40, what guarantees do you have that you can do that 35? If you cannot produce a governor and a senator at 35 years old, which is the minimum requirement of the previous law, what guarantees do you have that you can do it at 30? So the reality is that even when those laws were there, I mean, a 35-year-old guy is still a relatively young person. And there's no record today that we're able to produce a governor or a senator at that age. What you found was that you still had a lot of all these old people there. And the reality today is that if we don't face the fundamental issues that prevent young people from being able to vie for these offices, you will still find that even with these provisions, is the 70 years old, the 60-year-old, and the 50-year-olds that you will still find there. So my own position is that, yes, it's a good idea. I mean, yes, symbolically, it speaks to a lot of youth empowerment. But if we don't face the fundamental issues that are impacting young people from even vying for those offices, we'll still go back to square one.
All right, so I'm just let me just take you to your one of your tweets where you talked about the gift, and you said that it is a Greek gift. It's a one that is at best a symbolic gesture. The politicians know will make no big difference to the status quo. What do you mean by that? Can you expatiate?
Yeah, when I say it's a great gift, I say it within the context of all the bills that were passed. Within the bills that were passed was a certain immunity bill, and then a couple of other things like that. And when lawmakers want to do things and they want to get away with it, what they do sometimes is that they give you what they think you want so that you can just turn the blind eye to what they want. So when I say it's a Greek gift, I'm saying it in the context that they give you something and they can take it away within the same breath which they gave to you. Now, let me expand it a bit. If we look at the reality today, the average age to which young people leave the university is 25. That's when you had the ASU number of years and everything. So you get out of university at 25. You do a 1-year merry-go-round called NYC. So you're 26. You try to get a job. The bank or the institutions tell you you're too old. You're not within the minimum age. So you don't have the experience. So you get out and you try to do something just to be able to get yourself out. By the time you're running up and down, you're 30. You're still trying to like get things going. So the question is, who are these young men that have the qualifications, that have the experience, that they want to vie for office? When you go down to it, you find out that there are people, young men, who probably schooled abroad. Children of the elites and children of some of these legislators who are able to school abroad, graduate at 22 years old, work with some blue chip company, gain experience, come back to Nigeria, and they are on fire. And they get the blue chip jobs here in 5 years. When they are 27, 28, they are ready. And so effectively, when the legislators give themselves, I mean, I think Punch came out with an article, was it yesterday, that outlined all the, government officials, senior government officials whose child, sons or daughters graduated from an institution in the UK, whether it's the School of Economics and all that stuff. And these were young 20-year-old kids. By the time they've spent another 5 years in those countries, they are ready. They'll be 28, 29, they will come here, they will vie for those positions, and they will get it. So the question I ask myself is this: when these people are doing this, what do they really have in mind? The teeming Nigerian youth that are here in Nigeria, or their children, which they're trying to make space for. So when I say it's a great gift, of course, I'm looking at it from two contexts: from the fact that they included it among like 30-something bills that they were trying to pass on the same day, and also within the fact that they are actually probably not even thinking about the whole of the Nigerian student in Lautech. They are thinking of probably some of their kids in the London School of Economics. So we have to look at it within that context, and try to be a little bit strategic in the way we view it, and not just see it from a narrow perspective.
All right, so let me just take you back to some of the things you said previously before. Now, you talked about having the records where people within that age range, or within the previous age range as approved by the Constitution, have been in those positions. I think Saminu Turaki of Jigawa State became governor, I think, at 36. We also have Oji Uzor Kalu, who was governor, I think maybe 38, 39. And then we had Salisu Buhari, who was Speaker of the House at around 29 or 30. But I mean, if those people can do it then, why can't we do it now?
What's the statistics of that? Given the number, I mean, you are talking about probably less than 1% of representation. I mean, that's representative enough as far as I'm concerned. See, the reality is this: there's a systemic issue that makes it virtually almost difficult for young people to get there. It impacts the education system. The education system makes it difficult. The party system makes it difficult. By the time you ask a young man to vie for president, for governor, let him not even go for president, and he has to go and buy a form for 10 million naira, for 22 million naira, where do you want him to get the money from? So those are some of the issues that I'm talking about. And I'm saying that if we really wanted to do a not too young to run thing, it should be all encompassing.
Isn't that where the independent candidacy comes in?
Yeah.
I said, isn't that where the independent candidacy comes in?
Victor, have you read that provisions for the independent candidacy?
Maybe you'd enlighten us more.
I mean, it's ridiculous. when I say that these guys are putting together a Greek gift, I'm saying it because they know that truly, given the enormity of the reality of our polity today, you need funds. You need serious campaign funds. If you don't have that ability, if you don't have that ability to compete on the financial side, you're as good as wasted. You know, so if you don't have that capacity in terms of getting that level of support that you need to be able to compete, whether it is something that you gained by yourself. I'll give you an example. I had a friend, a young man, he was working in the bank, and he came to me and he said, "Look, I want to go and compete, you know, for House of Reps, you know, in my constituency, somewhere in the southeast, and all that stuff." And I supported him. I said, you know, a group of us friends, we came together and we tried to support him, but it was a losing game for him because he could not compete on the financial side because the system was so steeped that if he didn't have to fund this or fund that or pay for this person or put this person in a hotel for 1 week or you know, pay this the delegates or whatever, he could not compete. So what I'm saying is, if you really want to get inclusion for young people, the whole campaign finance thing has to be looked at. There has to be, you know, structures that allow young people pick forms. I mean, for instance, can we say that a young person like 25 years old can pick the form at 500,000 naira or less? Is it impossible to put that in the law that says that because we're trying to do this, let's give access to them and ensure that when they're picking up this forms, you know, nominations forms and all that stuff, it is steeped at a maximum price of XYZ. This allows a lot of young people to come out, and then they can appeal to the public to say, okay, I'm out. You guys say you want young people, I'm out. Can you now support me and fund my campaign? If you don't focus on those systemic problems, you're going to just have a system where that throws up people who are old or the young ones who have, you know, very huge support from the older ones, and typically what you will have is that you will have the children of the elites doing that. And I'm saying that, you know, not too young to run is a good symbolic idea, but it is not sufficient. We need to look beyond just the rhetoric of saying, okay, I'm young, I'm allowed to do that. We need to look into the systemic problems that was preventing large number of young people previously to vie for those positions.
All right, very well. I thank you for the contribution. But then, Victor, let me just come back to you. We're wrapping up now to get your closing statement before we go.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor, for the opportunity. Like I have said, and my uncle Yinka has reinforced again, the not too young to run bill, it's just a crumble that they've just given to us. There are more issues pertaining to that. And even if it were the real thing, I think we'll be living in the past to be living in the present, or the fact that we now have it. We need to start living in the future of what happens after now that we've got it, what's next? And those are, how do we converge our ideas? How do we talk about changing our value systems? How do we start valuing human lives and, you know, start moving, talking about policies that protect that? Because without the right value system, we will never be able to build the right institutions. And if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, it's not totally wrong. There are certain provisions when I look at the Nigerian Constitution, it is correct, but there's no right value system. There's no person with the right value system trying to enforce that. And that will continue to be the problem if we do not have the right people with right value systems, because people with wrong value systems will always crumble the right institutions. And so that's why I think that the next thing we need to start talking about now as youth is what are the policies that we can put forward as alternatives. We need to stop living as Keynes. I mean, Keynes is the problem. Abel is the victim. We need to start living as Seth. Seth is the solution. So if a young person will not prefer a policy that provides solution, I will not support him because of his age. So now I'm trying to live in the future, and I think we should live in that future. And we should start demanding bills and things that will not make young, not too young to run bill and orphan in the system of Nigerian governance.
Thank you, Victor. Ben, in wrapping up.
More what Inka has said, he has said so much about some of the things that will hinder the not young to run bill to function very well. And we need to look at some of the process, our electoral process, the party system, the political party system, the amount of money, like he has said, for obtaining a party nominee form and all that. And these are the issues that we're going to be facing after this next phase. We still have a whole lot of job to do. We have a long way to go, but then it's a step in the right direction. Passing this bill is one step, and we need to move forward to see how we can make sure that this bill is being that the process in which young people can come into government is being looked at. We have to look at those forces that will discourage young people from coming into politics. We have to look at those forces and deal with those issues now. And these issues are germane. They are playing. We know some of these things. We live with them. We know the high level of poverty rate, the non-employment rate. I mean, you need to be financially buoyant enough to present yourself for any political office, in terms of even if you cannot do everything yourself, you should be able to print your posters or even print one or two shirts to give out to people to support you. So we need to look at those things that will hinder young people from not coming to office, from not running an election, and look them inside and see how we can deal with those issues, so that at least by the next 4 or 5 years, I don't expect this bill to begin to work from next election, from 2019 election and all that is coming up. But at least subsequently, in the next 10 years, I want to see enough portion of a handful of young people coming into government.
Well, I also share in your optimism. Hopefully, that will come to pass. But then, anything would you like to say, sir, before we close? Mr. Ogunubi, just in closing.
Okay. My closing remarks, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. If you are old enough to take a bullet for Nigeria, you are old enough to put yourself out to be voted for. So even putting some kind of age limit for me it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think that if you are 18 and you are 18, you are old enough to be married, you're old enough to be to go to war, you should be old enough to be voted for. That's my own take. However, I think that we need, as young people, to broaden the conversation, begin to talk about the things that impact us. Take Loud Tech, for instance. The students in the university have been at home for 8 months. What's going to happen is that you're going to have all of the strike between ASU and the two states. The students are going to be pushed and rushed through an academic session. When they come back, they're half-baked. They're not good enough. Employers are reading the newspapers every day. They see a graduate from LAUTECH, they will consciously just remove them because they know that they are not good enough, just by the fact that they did not go through a very stringent academic session. We need to stop that. We need to invest in education. We need to ensure that we push this government to increase budgetary allocation to education. We need education reform, quality education. When those guys come out from university and they're well qualified, they are in a better position to be able to apply their skills. We need campaign reforms. We need to ensure that the access is open for everybody. Okay, whether or not you are available or not, or whether or not you are willing or capable or whatever. I mean, whether or not you are financially capable, you know, you should be able to afford to be able to put yourself out there. And beyond all that, we should talk about youth empowerment. It's not about politics. Everything in Nigeria is always brought down to politics, and everybody feels that if I'm not in government house, if I'm not there, I am somehow not achieving anything. I think we need to, you know, rephrase all that and ensure that, you know, young people understand that if they can be empowered, then they also have a political voice. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mayinka Ogunibi. You joined us from Lagos, Nigeria. Thanks for coming on the program. Ben Cosmos, you joined us from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Also, thanks for joining as well. And Victor Bamshahi from Lviv in Ukraine. Thanks to all of you for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts on this issue. But then that's where we have to wrap the conversation. Thank you once again. It's a Google Plus Hangout for Channels Beam, and I am Victor Matthias.